Good evening. I'm Mark Smith, and welcome to the Process Roundtable. I know it might throw you as a different loop because you're used to seeing us on Wednesday nights, but that's okay. That's why we do what we do, because we have that ability to change it up, and that's what change is good. Behind me, you're starting to see a lot of the processed merchandise, which is just been released by Dibble and Dab. So we have some exciting things that they have and that is produced out there that we want you to take advantage of. But before we get started tonight, I want you to take a quick look at this short video that talks about some of the merchandise that we have. All right, I'm back. Again, welcome to the Process Live Roundtable. Again, if you're just getting in, I'm Mark Smith. If this is your first time viewing the Roundtable, you are in for a memorable hour. You know, one of the strongest dialogues we have is this designed to change lives or help move people from stagnation to progression. You know, in the Process Season 4, it was entitled, Why Not Me? And in this series, like all other series, I capture the essence of using acronyms. And guess what? Tonight's roundtable is not going to be anything different. It's going to follow right in suit. I've got two great friends that are going to join me tonight as we share food for the spirit. Let's not waste any more time. I know I'm ready. I know that they're ready. My question is, are you ready? Let's go. All right, let's go. As promised, this show is going to be remarkable, right? And both of these young men who I'm going to introduce in a second, both have been on my podcast, The Process, which is on star107fm.com. My first friend is coming from backstage, man, his story. Wow. Met this young man when I first moved to Maryland through his parents, whom I love dearly. He is so much wiser than his years. The things that come out to his mouth, the way he processes things, I use that word process, right? The way that he processes things just go beyond the scope of his age. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Trenton Register. Trenton, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Man, you know, I couldn't be any better. You're here with me tonight. You're here with me tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right. Why don't you do our listeners who are joining us so far a quick help, and tell them a little bit about who you are.
Well, hello world. My name is Trenton Register, and I'm hailing here from the Washington D.C. area. Originally from Atlanta. I'm a big avid music lover. Really into it. I play piano. I love instrumentation. I love listening to instrumental music. Um, it really is a gives me a place where I can go. Gives me a lot of peace. I'm a really laid back person, easy to get along with, and yeah, I mean, I think about what I want to say before I say what I'm going to say. So that's a little bit about me. Welcome to the process.
Thank you. That's a great attribute. Think before you speak. Think before you speak. That's a great attribute.
Yes, it is.
My second
I
friend
try to
comes
live
to
by it.
my second friend comes to the stage is actually from New York City, and he's from NYC. However, he's here now. Man, I don't use the word visionary quite often, but this young man is taking the world by storm, and he's going to continue to make his mark. And you're going to see over the next hour with some of the words that come out of his mouth. Welcome, Mr. Maurice Cave. Maurice, good evening. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Mark? What's going on, Trenton? How y'all guys doing?
Hey,
Great.
what's going on?
We couldn't be any better. All right, same principle, man. Let's let everybody get to know a little bit about who Maurice is.
Well, like Mark said, my name is Maurice. I'm originally from New York. I've been living in DC now for almost 17 years. Right now, I'm working on a lot of different things. I like to tackle and challenge myself. So I do photography, videography. I'm also trying to learn how to fly a plane. So when that time comes and I get licensed, reach out to me and we'll talk about the next steps. But welcome to the process.
All right, thank you. And for those of you again who are listening, this is a roundtable, so we're going to be bouncing ideas back and forth, answering questions back and forth, and we want you involved. One of the things that we definitely want to do is we want to be able to answer questions that you have. We want your comments. We want your feedback while we're going through. What better way to basically inspire our guests tonight other than you being interactive with them? So let's get going. My first topic that I want to talk about for a second, man, covers so many different areas, and it's simple. And it's what this is. It's the process. And as I said, the process covers a wide variety of things in each individual. I'm gonna start with you, Maurice. What does the process mean to you in your everyday life?
Well, Mark, like we discussed before, I can't stress this enough, but my favorite line is opportunity meets preparation, and what that basically means is that you got to prepare yourself for the things you want in life. You got to really do what needs to be done to get where you want to go, and that means in every aspect in life, just in with your job and school, your love life, all the things that you want, the things that you need, you got to prepare yourself. And that's why I focus on that, and that to me is the process of how I get things done in my life.
Hmm. Why don't you pass the mic over to Trenton? Same question, Trenton.
Trent, what do you think about that?
What the process means to me? Well, here we are. I'm a really methodical person. So I think about things methodically. But in a nutshell, I think a lot of times what happens with the process is people forget that it's one of the most important things. It's the journey, and people get caught up in the final result a lot. So, what the process means to me is remembering that journey, remembering the process, and living in that moment, whether that moment is short and quick or whether it's a lifetime. Just remembering to live within that and not focusing so much on the beginnings or the ends.
Hmm. Good stuff. Um, of course, this is something that I've wrote about and I continue to write about. Uh, it is you both are right. It is a journey, but I say it's deeper than a journey. It's a 100% uh, avenue, so to speak. It's a straight shot down the street that has a bunch of red lights, right? Inside there, we got two choices at that red light. Do we go through the red light or do we stop? Do we stop to gather ourselves and realize the obstacles, the beauty that we saw behind, as well as the things that didn't move us from behind? So it's a constant evaluation, a constant look with our head on a swivel to see exactly where we're going and enjoying and embracing. I use the word embracing the things that we see along the way. So yeah, it is evolution to the highest power. So again, thank you guys for getting us started tonight. Again, if you have any questions, if anybody wants to drop in and say what the process means to them, shoot that message again. We would love to read that out. I want to shift to something else before we really get into our meat and potatoes today. But this is so important. I always say, and individuals have seen me with on my material, says comfort is a casualty of growth. And I know growth is always occurring in our lives, often when it's unnoticed. What has been, we'll start with you first, Trenton. What has been the most rewarding steps of progression that you've experienced? That's one. And how has that progression affected others in your circle?
The most rewarding steps of progression? Well, I mean, similar to this idea of the process and the journey. So the most rewarding part to me would be that process and that journey of actually, achieving. And the way that's affected the circle around me is it's given those around me something to look up to, I believe, something to be proud of, and I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead, send it to Maurice.
And what about yourself, Mo? If I can call you Mo.
No, that's fine. That's what all my friends call me, and everyone around me that knows me. I just believe that growth is something that you just have to just live life, and you just live life, and you allow things that happens in your life to process, and you just focus on what you need to do just to keep surviving, and you just gotta just keep going. Just don't give up. I mean, that's as simple as that for me.
I said I'm gonna have to pull more out of you guys, and now you give me some short answers, but that's okay. I'm gonna be pulling. Don't worry about it. Growth is inevitable, and I know that each one of us have that opportunity to take things to the next level, and I don't think it's anybody who wants to really stay the same. Now, is growth easy? No, hell, it's very painful sometimes. One of our listeners right there said that they feel like failing is a part of the process. It is. It's definitely it is the most important part of the process if you really break it down, because that is what makes you aware of who you are and what you need to do. That uncomfortability is growth. That feeling as though you're not where you should be, and you're prepared to take the necessary steps to get to where you want to be. That's growth. So again, that is something that is always on my mind. I'm gonna deviate for a second right here, and I'm gonna start with you, Trenton, and we're gonna go to Maurice, but I'm gonna hit it first. One of the questions that I like to ask when we start to talk about growth is asking a simple question: as when was the last time individuals have unpacked their growth? And what I mean by unpacking their growth is actually took a revisit, sat down and took a snapshot and seen exactly some of the steps where they come, where they, I don't want to say fail, because if you learn something, you don't fail. You never fail. We only falter because we don't accept the things that we did. So the question is, when was the last time that you sat down and unpacked your growth? For me, I'll say it's a continuous work in progress. I do it every day. Every morning I sit back and think about what I did yesterday and how I can get better. What is it going to take for me to reach 2 more people, 3 more people? How is what I'm writing? How is that really going to transcend and help individuals that really need it? So I've adopted a motto that we'll talk about a little bit later, and I say it's hashtag legacy changing in 2021. So for me, unpacking my growth is something simple that says, hey, Mark, are you truly where you want to be based on where you were? Or what do you need to do to make sure that you are getting to where you need to go? What do you need to carve out? Do you need to eliminate some of the people that you think are in your circle, which they're really in your cage? They really put you in the cage? Or where are you in your steps? So I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to start with you, Mo, first. Then you're going to pass it to Trenton. When was the last time that you truly sat down and unpacked your growth?
Mark, it's just like you said. I pretty much do it almost every day. Um, I will say this. When I moved here from New York, I really didn't understand what my goal was or what the purpose was truly in my heart. But after being here for so many years and unpacking and reflecting on my life, I truly believe that the last time that I unpacked was when I just recently started this new job. And I just think to myself, how did I get here again? How did I leave something to start something new and just keep going with the flow of life and just keep maintaining and structuring myself with all the positive energy that I can possibly give to spill out to other people that I'm around. And so I literally just had to unpack that like within the last 3 days. And I'm thankful and I'm grateful and I'm truly amazed about how I'm able to continue to keep striving and thriving through all of this process and change in my life. Trenton, how about you?
Wow. Well, that's a pretty loaded question for me. Quite often, I find myself in the quiet moments of my life. I tend to wake up in the middle of the night, around like 3 or 4, and that's when I find myself unpacking. And this is pretty much on a nightly basis. I won't say daily because it's not in the day, but yeah. And also in the quiet moments. When I'm absorbed in the moment of experiencing, life events. And I kind of step back and I observe and I'm like, wow, this is where I'm at. This is where we're at. And I try to do my best to live in that moment and assess, how I got there, what it took to get there, what it means to be there. And also, okay, how do I get this to a place where, okay, it's growing. What is the next step? What is the evolution of this moment? Where do I need to let it take me next? So in my quiet moments, and then late at night, quite often, I find myself unpacking.
Mhm. Yeah, that's part of growth. That's what I talked about, kind of initially. It often happens when it's unnoticed. It really does. It's those times that we actually do it. I want to. I do a lot of the same thing. That early morning. I'm an early riser, so 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'm up. Um, Usually in the gym, and then I'm down there and I'm reassessing again, reevaluating where I am and what I need to do. And Mo, you talked about something about when you first came. You used the word purpose. You need to think about what the purpose. That's okay. You can have a sip of it. I know you
No, it's
get
okay.
parched talking. Your purpose.
A little dry.
One of the things that I like to
It
talk
came on
about,
so
or I
quickly, I couldn't even catch myself.
That's okay. One of the things that I always talk about, you guys know I'm huge on acronyms, is I thought about purpose a long time ago when I wrote, in one of my writings in the process. And actually we did a show on this one when we were live in Orlando. And I said the purpose basically is 7 steps. It's 7 steps that define and make people understand what purpose is. Number one is praise. You have to praise and believe in something that's higher than what you are and what you believe.
Mhm.
But guess what? You got to praise yourself. You got to say, I did a great job. I left it all in there today. You have to understand. You have to understand where you are. And Trent, you just hit it right in the head. You get up or you can't go to sleep. You wake up or you lay there and you process it so you understand where you are. Then you move to the R in the purpose, and that's remove. You remove the things. You're getting ready the next day to remove the things, the declutter. I like to say, declutter the things that aren't even there for you. And then you got to put in practice. You got to put in application. So that's the P. You got to practice what you preach, but you got to be open to suggestions. That's the O. So and we're always being watched. I use the acronym ABR, always be ready. So we're always being watched. So you got to be open to those that really care about you. that really want to offer you some suggestions. And then most importantly, I think that you have to be selfless. You have to be selfless. You got to be giving of yourself consistently. You have to have that heart that says, I'm going to give to people so that I'm not only so I can receive, but I don't want to block my blessings. Not at all. I got to make sure that it's happening. And what does that do? The last E of purpose, that empowers. That empowers you. That empowers you to reach and decide and figure out on your own where you want to go, what you want to do, what you want to be. So what you gentlemen just said was spot on. That's it. That's exactly the part of unpacking your growth that's necessary. So thank you so much again. All right, meat and potatoes time. I talk about acronyms, as you just heard, everybody. The word why has taken on a different meaning today for the purpose of our roundtable. Y stands for it, welcoming happiness within yourself. So we're going to talk about all three words, and we're going to break each one of them down collectively together. I'm asking you guys that are tuning in right now to join us. I want you to vote in the chat which one of these words, whether it's welcoming, whether it's happiness, or where it's yourself. Which one of those are the central portion of you in your life and your journey towards growth? So who wants to take it first? Trenton, Mo, Trey, Mo, which one?
I'm here.
All right, go for it then. We're gonna talk about the first one, which is welcoming.
Welcoming. Well, for me, I really see that as just simply being open to life. We can find ourselves a lot depending on situations, struggles that we're going through, that we collapse inward. We want to hide under rocks, and that does not allow a person to welcome in life, to welcome in people, to welcome in love, opportunity. So to me, being open is important. Being open is the gateway that a person can place themselves in so that they can experience life to the fullest level. I'm gonna swing it to you, Mo.
Wow. Yeah, that was amazingly said. Honestly, you're absolutely right. Welcoming is a very important aspect in life, especially when it comes down to inviting new things into your life, whether it's friendships or love or even just distant family members. Sometimes people have those issues where they don't want to let someone back in because they've been hurt or they've been cautious about the person because of who the person once was. But people change, and sometimes you just got to be open-minded to allow people in your life. You gotta welcome that energy into your life sometimes because you've grown, and in order for you to really test the ability of your growth, you gotta challenge yourself and allow things in your life that may not have been the most positive or the most embracing thing that's in your life or was in your life. When you welcome that into your life, whether it's old or new, you will see how much more amazing of a person you really are. And Mark, I really know that you got something more to say to this, so I'm gonna pass the buck over to you.
You know what? You guys kind of got me kind of tongue tied for a second because boom, that was it. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Openness, forgiveness, all of that. That's perfect. For me, welcoming boils down to two things. If we break it down to the most common denominator, it's two things. It's accepting where you are to get to where you need to go. And that's agreeing. We agreeing that there needs to be a change in your life so you can welcome the progress that's there that you need to have. I again, none of my writings, I don't believe in hypocrisy. So I know that I've done a lot of things in my life that hurt other people, and made other people upset and miserable and hurt a lot of relationships. And I'm blessed and honored that those individuals welcomed me back into their life because I knew that was not me. But to get to that point, I had to recognize that I need to welcome myself. I need to look in that mirror. You know, I use that old adage in the facilitation here in the DMV. I ask my guys and gals, what is the most valuable piece of furniture inside your house? And they run across and tell me, my bed. Nope, you can sleep. You're behind on the floor. My kitchen table. You can eat on the floor. My couch, my TV. What's a couch and what's a TV? You're going to get negative stuff out of there. The most valuable piece of furniture inside your house is your mirror, because that is where you form the thoughts of who you are beyond anybody else. See, anybody can tell you anything, but when you welcome the acceptance inside your heart and your soul, then you have the power to bring that outward and deliver something powerful that all of us are called to give to everybody. So, fellas, great. I'm gonna go dial back to you before we go into the next one. Mo, you mentioned change. How does that equate in your life when we're talking about welcoming?
Well, Mark, to be honest with you, it's getting out your own way. You know, putting fears aside, and you know, Trey had asked me one time. You know, I was, you know, how do you do these interviews? You know, when you go on these interviews, like, and I'm not trying to boast or anything, but I literally had, I was working at one job, but I was ready to leave, and I decided to, you know, try something new. And so I had an interview the same day I got hired. Okay. And then I got in that job, and in about a week, I realized it wasn't what I really wanted to do. So I applied for another position, and I got another interview, and I got hired the same day. Mind you, this is within a month's period. Okay. And he asked me, you know, you're like, what do you do in your interviews? I said, you know what? Right before any interview, I just let everything go. I don't allow myself to be on the front line of it, which is my fears, my doubts, my worries, all of those gut feelings that you have. I let all of that go, and then I just sit there and I just be myself. I be myself. I cater to whatever the questions are. I look at the person. I just say to myself, you are nothing more or less than the person that's sitting in front of you. Okay, and that to me was my growth, because all of the interviews I've had in my life has taught me that I have grown to be way better than I ever thought I could imagine at the age that I am now. And so you just gotta really just look at yourself and just trust and believe that nothing you do cannot happen. And the reason why I'm taking my time and I'm just thinking and I'm processing, because I just think about all the people that I know around me who are always faced with challenges and trying to succeed, but there's always something stepping in their way. You just got to move those things out the way and just keep pushing. Don't let the fears, the worries, the concerns, those gut feelings get in the way. Just move through it. And I promise you'll get the job. I mean, I've done it twice in less than 30 days. So if I can do it, you can do it. But I'm curious to see, you know, what Trey has to say about growth, because I know that, you know, with music, there is a lot of growing and a lot of challenging. So Trey, do you mind stepping in and giving us a little insight on that?
Well, if you want to put it into that, I guess, category, it is a challenging field. It really is. It's a challenging skill. And I play piano, like I mentioned before, and I started learning at a really early age, teaching myself. And it really was frustrating at first to get the technique down, to be able to play with both hands. That took some time, and there was a lot of frustration there in trying to achieve that goal of, being able to play melody in one hand and bass line in another. But through perseverance, through continuing and not giving up, and practice, I was able to finally get to a point where I could do it. And then I just really excelled from that point. So that learning that at an early age, having that opportunity from above to be able to have this path of experiencing that through instrumentation, through learning an instrument. I've taken that with me And I've applied that through a lot of areas in my life. And with learning something new, I try to think, okay, I'm learning this new skill, this new thought process, this new technique. It's similar as like trying to learn how to play with both hands. It's going to be a little bit difficult at first, Trey, but you just need to keep at it. And you know that by keeping at it, eventually things are going to marry, and before you know it, you'll be flying away with both hands. And so that's how I really try to remember to approach things in life, new things, and growth overall.
Mhm.
So with that being said, I'm sure you have something to add to that, Mark.
No, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I hope you guys took a look at the comment that came around. Um, one of our good friends wrote that a lot of people struggle to accept growth. People seem to focus more on the work that needs to be done instead of awarding or rewarding the work that has been done. And that's what we talked about your mirror, that self-accusation. That's the time to where you, unfortunately, we have to be cognizant to eliminate excuse me, that cage. Think outside of that cage and be proud of who we are and the progression, not stagnation, that we're in at that particular time. So that's what's so impactful. That's what's so powerful. And some of you have heard me before. If you haven't gone back again, listen to the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify. I hit growth. I hit growth twice in different segments. I hit it in the foundation and I hit it again in Why Not Me. And for me, growth stands for the gradual reminder obstacles will test hope. Y'all didn't hear me. I said gradual reminder obstacles will test hope. So we are going to battle. We are going, but the battle a lot of times is within our own minds. We have to eliminate and welcome the success that we are deemed to have. So that's great. Great dialogue. All right. We're gonna start with Trenton this time.
All right.
Happiness. And again, everybody out
Happiness.
there, take your vote. What about happiness? Is that something that's important to you?
The number one thing that I will say about happiness, you have to choose it. That's the most important thing in in my mind and my philosophy. It's not an easy thing to choose to be happy. It's a very difficult thing. There are a lot of things that are thrown at you, including yourself. There's a lot of things that you see that come from outside of yourself, situations that you're in, situations that you anticipate or fear that you're going to go through. But the most important thing is to choose happiness, to choose to have a positive outlook on what you are going to experience or what you already are experiencing. So,
Mm.
again, the number one thing, you have to choose happiness. I'm gonna swing it to you, Mo.
I'm gonna feed off of that one. You're absolutely right. You definitely have to choose happiness. Um, but I will say this too: when you get there, stay there. You know, do what it takes to stay there. Stay in that place of happiness. Don't let nothing make you go against that happiness. Don't let nothing take you away from that happiness, because it's like anything else in the world. It comes and it goes, but once you choose it, focus on it. Let that be your forefront when you're tackling everything that's going on around you in the world. That you just want to be happy. You accept happiness in your life, and you're choosing to allow the happiness that's within you to spread around to others. But when you get there, stay there. You know, I literally am I've chosen to be happy. I've made necessary steps. I've done necessary things to ensure my happiness. And I do that every single day. Every day that I wake up, I choose to be happy. I am not a morning person, so I do not choose to get up to go to work in the morning, but I know I have to. So that is not the happiness that I'm referring to. But once I'm there, I'm choosing to be happy. I'm choosing to be happy with the work that I do. I'm choosing to be happy with the people that I'm around. I choose all of it, and I'm choosing to stay here. And I promise you, no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to stay here because I've gotten here. Mark?
There's no disagreement. Everything that we embark on, or we let me take it a step further. There's three things that we control: the thoughts we think, the visions we see, and the actions we take. We control those, all three of those. And happiness falls in that bucket because it is our option. It is our option to embrace that. And it should be something that shouldn't be taken for granted. People that know me hear me say all the time, we don't have problems, we have situations. The situations are going to be resolved as long as we continue with a mindset that we're going to be okay, and that is temporary. So what is it about? I guess one of the frustrations that comes about is what happens to a person, or why do they choose to not be happy any longer when things go awry? Because I tend to personally, when things go awry, that elates me because I know that there's a blessing that's right behind the corner that's going to take me to another level. So much more coming from me that's going to push me someplace else. So yeah, happiness is the most powerful thing. And whether it's with your, as you talked about, Mo, with your job, whether you talked about Trenton, you opened it up and said it's a choice. We have to embrace the fact that every day, every time we put on that armor and we escape our dungeon, leave our house, we walk out of there with the mindset that everybody's going to be looking at. I said, always be ready. Somebody's looking at you all the time, and that happiness is euphoric. We have to just embrace exactly what we need to do. So thank you so much for that. Last one I'm gonna turn with, and I'm gonna start it off with, since you guys have blessed me with that, is the why in the word why, which is yourself. And again, we're looking for everybody to vote. I heard a long time ago, before my father passed away, he had a lot of sayings that make sense that I've repeated and we get chuckles from. But I'll never forget a conversation that he said that really catapulted me and made me change my views on my surroundings or my circle. And he said, never spend your present time with people that you don't see a future with. And that hit me. As a young man, I'm like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. These are my friends. No, never spend your present time with people that you don't see a future with. So understanding that I have to find that peace within myself, yourself, that light, that beacon that's shining for everybody to see is so key. I always think about one of the funny things that Tasha, my wife, and I laugh about is when we fly, we're always can't wait to the flight attendants get on there and start their spiel. Some of them are hilarious. Some of them are just so this is my flight. But some of them have some fun. But one of the things that is consistent is that they always tell you that if the oxygen mask should drop, take the oxygen mask and put it over your mouth. Breathe in it. If you're traveling with a young child or somebody who needs help, take that mask and put it on that child after you take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How can you help somebody else if you don't take care of yourself? You find that it can become draining, it can become taxing, and it can become toxic, which eliminates the happiness, right? So all three, welcoming, happiness, and yourself, all intertwined. It makes sense to make sure that we are doing what we can do to take care of ourselves, whether that's mentally, whether that's physically, whether that's spiritually, whether that's whatever we do. How can we effectively change a legacy in 2021 and beyond without taking care of ourselves? What do you think, Mo?
You know, Mark, when you say that, one word comes to mind: authenticity. You know, just I had to literally learn to be my authentic self. You know, I had to really just step out the box. And when I mean the box, I meant my room, because I was renting out a room for about 5 years. So that was a box that I was living in. And I stepped outside of that box and I saw the world for the first time, and like I never seen it before. I mean, I've challenged myself. I've opened myself up to new things. I've explored things. I got on a plane, which got me wanting to fly a plane. And all these things that I did is because I allowed myself to explore, and to not be so afraid of failure. Because you know, when you get out in the world and you're doing what you need to do, sometimes you're gonna fall. And you know, when you get tired of falling, you just be like, look, I'm gonna just stay in place because I don't want to fall anymore. But when you step out there, you really challenge yourself and you open yourself to new things. You really find your authentic self. And that's the part of me that I'm really loving right now, is being me, giving me all of what I deserve and all of what I have longed for, and now seeing it now. And unfortunately, you know, I wish I have known your dad, you know, may he rest in peace, but I wish I would have known that back way back when. Not to say I had a lot of bad friends, but I probably would have made a lot of different choices in my life. Some of those friends are still with me to this day, and some of them friends are not. But I will say this, Mark: uh, giving to my authentic self is what truly blesses me every single day. Is knowing that I am who I am, and I'm never going to change. And I know Trey has a lot to say about that.
Well, I really appreciate the thoughts that have come from both of you, from you, Mark, and from you, Mo. And if I can add to that, what I will say is, it definitely is important to know to put yourself first, and it definitely is important to be an authentic you. On top of that, I want to add that it's important to just simply know yourself enough to know that it's okay for you to be authentic, that it's okay for you to put yourself first so that you can help others. Because if you can't help yourself, you can't help anyone else. If you don't know
Mhm.
yourself, you can't impact anyone else. So, importantly, most importantly, knowing yourself, who you are inside as an individual, where you've come from, where you want to go. Knowing that is paramount to achieving being at a point where you're like self-actualized. And self-actualization is something that I strive to achieve. Every day I'm asking myself, questions, and I'm filtering things from the outside world, processing them, and asking myself, is this truly the essence of Trey? Is this truly me? Um, does it line up with what I already know about myself? Does it line up in a way that I can say that it can or it should build upon who Trey already is? So again, I would say, on top of, putting yourself first so that you're in a position where you can help others, and also just being the most authentic you, is just simply knowing who you are as a person, as an individual. For some folks, that may be first and foremost that you are a child of God. For others, it may just simply mean that in a given situation, you know that this is not you, and you're going to walk away from that situation. But most importantly, know who you are. Know oneself. Swing it back to you, Mark.
Beautiful. To get to those levels of why, welcoming, happiness, yourself, it requires a change in all of our lives, really, because we don't walk in that way. We are molded, we're crafted, we're beat, we're stomped on, we trample. So a change is necessary, right? I don't think anybody has to agree. We have to agree that at some point we need to change our life. Well, honestly, change is hard at first, messy in the middle, but also rewarding at its conclusion. I want you guys to take a minute, if you would, and describe a time when a change in your life met all three criteria. Hard at first, messy in the middle, but rewarding at the end. You close. Let's start with you, Trey.
Well, I already know off break, and that's taking my, behind back to school. I'll use a different word, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, it was difficult. The decision to actually go back was difficult. I don't know why and I don't want to spoil anything, but why I put it off for so long. But eventually, I made the decision to return, and that decision made all the difference to what was to come later on in my life. So going to class every day, studying all night to the break of dawn, that was the most difficult part of the whole process of going back to school. Um, and there were a lot of discouraging moments, sometimes discouraging grades, but in the end, I think that I know that it was all worth it. And in general, taking that time to talk to myself, to remind myself that this is a defining moment, because where I was at wasn't a good place. And I didn't necessarily see a future prior to me making this decision to return back to school. But it literally has made all the difference.
Mhm.
It literally has made all the difference. So before I start gushing waterfalls, I'm gonna pass it to Mo.
There's dust in that room. It's just dust in the room.
It better not be. For those of you who know us, they know that room. So in any case, listen, Trent, that was very touching. I agree with you 1000%. Your education and the challenges you had to go through to get to that place. You've overcome it, and you are where you are today. So kudos to you. And I'm sure Mark and myself we both can agree that we're both proud of you. For myself, I would say that love is the forefront of all of the why. It's truly, I'm not gonna make it a long situation, because then I'll get the water flowing. But I would just say that love has been a true blessing in my life, and allowing it in and putting away the fear of love has truly made me really believe in the why. Um, and I just want to say to everybody out there that just know that. Um, no matter what it is, whether it's your education, whether it's love or anything in that nature, whether it's your career goals, anything, um, it's just a temporary situation. And when you get there, just embrace it, love it, and pat yourself on the back because you did it. So I don't, like I said, Mark, I don't want to go too far into that one, but I'll let you go for that.
All right. I can. I always think about that change being hard at first, messy in the middle, and rewarding at the end. The person that you see and hear today was not that same person years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew in my life that I had to change before I either um, sadly either took my own life, or B, wound up in situations that there was no outcomes for me. So I had to change. I had to change my mindset. I had to change the way I thought. I had to change the way I act. And luckily, I was going through at the same time, and it got messy. It got messy because I didn't know where my emotions were. part of the good in Mark, the real, what was instilled inside Mark was coming out. I was finally, as we talked about, accepting, welcoming. I was finally beginning to welcome that and appreciate that. And it became very messy. It became very toxic. And it was an area where I didn't know. I was at that crossroads. Do I go back to the old me, or do I be who I'm truly called to be? And the rewarding portion of the end is that through any mess, God always will send you somebody to pull you. There's the scripture that says, when a child is ready to be taught, a teacher will appear. And that teacher that taught me and saved me was my wife, because she saw what was good in me that I didn't see in myself at that particular time. So to talk about being rewarding at the end, we're going on 10 years. We're having some great fun. We're doing things the way they should be doing as husband and wife. So I was messy. It was hard at first for me to leave that. It was so powerful for me messy, because I didn't know which way to turn. Had nobody to talk to. My mother I could talk to, but that's my mother. It's not the person that needed to put the clamps on me. And then I had met my wife. I said, God doesn't lie. He performs when he shows, and when he shows up, he shows up. All you got to do is call. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. Let's get into my last question for you, fellas, so I can get you out of here. Again, if you have any questions, we appreciate your comments on what you're talking about today. The Process Season 5. We're already at Season 5. It's something that's been a catalyst in everyone's life at some point, and we just talked about it. And I entitled it Procrastination, the Thief of Time. I want you to take about 2 minutes, both of you, if you would, and share what procrastination means to you, and what advice, because all of you have overcome. Mo, you talked about how you wanted to always fly, but now you're doing it. You're taking the flying lessons. Trent, you talked about the evolution of going back to school. So there's no more procrastination on things inside your lives. What advice can you give others to remove that action from their lives? You'll start with you, Mo.
I got you, Mark. I was just waiting for the screen to come on me. So you know what I would say, Mark? First and foremost, both of you gentlemen, you guys are very, very deep right now. So I appreciate, feeding off of you guys. Mark, but I want to feed off of you just a little bit. And I just want to just say, faith has brought me through all of it. Okay. Faith has brought me through all of it. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing now. What I had to go through to get here, you wouldn't believe it. But I spent a lot of my time in my days, focus on other people's worlds, focus on other people's dreams, focus on what other people wanted. I thought that was my purpose. I thought that was what I was created for, to help people become better people. And then I realized that, like you guys are saying, you can't help nobody else. You can't save that child's life without putting that mask on your own face. And so I would say that, just have faith and trust in your God, whoever that may be, and just believe that no matter what it is in your life and you overcome it, do not let it consume you. And don't waste time trying to figure it out. Just live it. Don't procrastinate on anything. Just live it. Live your life. Live like it's your last. Live like, tomorrow is not promised. People are dropping every single day. And so I just want to leave with just saying, just have faith and just stay focused. Stay focused on your goals and stay focused on your dreams. That's all I can say, Mark. Trey?
Yeah, procrastination definitely is the thief of time, and it could come in many shapes and forms. And like personally for me, it's crippled me in my past to not allow myself to let go of the hurts and the transgressions that I feel have been placed on me, and also to allow myself to heal from those hurts and those transgressions. And it, and another way you can put procrastination is you're avoiding whatever you fear, and that that keeps you from living, that keeps you from life, and it's really important to not allow that to come into the picture. And a key word, a key idea that I want to leave everyone with is to persevere over all of this, to persevere and let go. And I want to give you an example of that, a personal example. And I waited to the end to share this, but for the past some odd years, I've been dealing with crippling social anxiety on a daily basis, professionally and socially. And I've been on the journey to get to a place where I can bring it down to a level to where I can still be in the moment, not be in my head, to just honestly and actually like finally like live, because it's been tough, and it just came out of nowhere. But I'm at a place now where I can say I am persevering. I haven't necessarily 100% persevered over it, but I am persevering. So I would like to leave you all with that. Pass it back to
Thank,
you, Mark.
thank you. I would give my 2 cents, but I'll tell you where I'm going to give it to you. I want you to go to Anchor. I want you to go to Spotify. I want you to go to TuneIn and look up The Process of Mark Smith, Season 5, Procrastination and Thief of Time. That's where you'll get my answer to that question. I want to thank Trenton Register, Maurice Cave for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure. I'm
Thank
sure
you,
you
Mark.
I'm sure your insight, your stories are doing one of the missions that has become my motto, man, changing legacies in 2021. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, fellas. I love you guys. We'll be talking soon.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Mark.
All right. My production team, Toya Glenn and Janet Jack, you ladies continue to make this and all roundtables wonderful. Thank you again to Dibble and Dab for designing the current and future merchandise. Make sure each of you visit the store, not just for processed merchandise, but personalization items as well for babies and much, much more. Young adults, you got it all there. Let me close with, like I always do, because I think it's empowering that I want to tie things together. I want to mesh them together so you see exactly why I chose this topic today of why. Once upon a time in Durban, two men both were seriously ill. They were admitted to the same hospital. They occupied the same hospital room. One patient had a window in the side wall, or you could say that he had a window seat or a bed, kind of like we talked about flying, while the other one had a simple wall without any windows in it. The patient, having his bed next to the room's only window, was allowed to sit up on his Fowler bed for an hour every day in the afternoon to help drain the fluid that was coming from his lungs. The other patient had to spend all his time flat on his back. Both patients became friends soon and used to talk for hours every single day. They used to speak about their families, friends, and their occupation. They also talked about their involvement in the military service and about their holidays and all other subjects as well. But every afternoon, when the patient in the bed by the window could sit up, he would pass the time by describing to his roommate all the beautiful things he could see outside the window. The patient in the other bed began to live in those 1 hour periods where his world would be broadened and enlivened by all the activity and the colors of the world outside. The patient with the window seat used to sit by the window and describe to his roommate how the window overlooked the park with the lovely lake. Ducks and swans played in the water while children sailed their model boats. Young lovers walked arm in arm amidst the flowers of every color, and a fine look at the city lights was visible from the distance. As the patient by the window seat described all this in exquisite detail, the patient on the other side of the room would close his eyes and imagine this picturesque scene. The other patient grieved his death of his roommate, as the days passed by when he passed away. He started missing the way his roommate described the view out of the window, in a hope to have a glimpse of the window and the beautiful world outside. The other patient asked to shift his bed up to the next side of the window. The nurse was happy to make the switch, and after making sure he was comfortable, she left him alone. Though he improved on his health conditions, yet he was not comfortable enough to sit up on his own. Slowly, painfully, he propped himself up on one elbow to take his first look at the real world outside. He strained to slowly turn and look at the window beside his bed. It was surprising to him. The window faced a simple wall. The patient asked the nurse what could have compelled his deceased roommate to describe such a beautiful and wonderful things outside the window. The nurse responded that the patient was blind and could not even see the wall. She said perhaps he just wanted to make you happy. So this story is simply heart-touching and communicates about many messages. The first one, there is nothing more satisfying than to see someone smile. That's what we're called to do. That's part of our happiness as well. And above all, to know that you are the reason behind the smile makes it even more satisfying. Spread happiness and bring sunshine in the life of others. When you make others happy, everyone sees you as a positive and happy person. It helps build strong and loving relationships. The easiest path to happiness lies in making others happy. Second, have the courage and accept the situations. The blind patient accepted the adversity, blindness. He was a happy person spreading happiness and a smile in the surrounding environment. Third, be mindful and live in the present moment. Though the patient on the bed away from the window could not see outside, yet he was mindful and enjoying the beauty outside as described by the patient near the window. So what am I saying? Simply put, share and spread happiness around you. It is the best way to keep yourself and keep others happy. If you miss any portion of this roundtable tonight, guess what? You can view it again by going to YouTube and searching the Process Live Roundtable, Mark Smith. Share this message of why so you can help join me in changing legacy in 2021. Don't forget to listen to the new series of Procrastination and Thief of Time. Again, I told you that's out there on Spotify, TuneIn, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. Please, please stay safe. Help lift each other up. Change this legacy in 2021 and beyond. God bless you. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you soon.